Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar Empowering Educators, Enhancing Professional Growth in Today's Teaching Landscape. So as the words or the today's topic, I feel that this topic is having quite a lot of relevance in today's education field. If we just look into the era which we had our schooling and or our college time, right? And the one which our children do study, or the children of the present age do study, right? You can see a lot of differences in the mode or the method in which we were taught and how our children are being taught. Even if you just look into a small kindergarten classes or a nursery, perhaps if you look into it, they have the projectors now in the class, or they have the smart devices. So many evolutions have happened in the field of the teaching or in the teaching landscape. So they were making this topic, a very relevant in today's field. Many of you who are in this webinar might be from the teaching field, or maybe who wish to be in the teaching field. So as a person who have been in almost, I don't have a lot of years of experience to say, but yes, I do have around 8 years of my teaching experiences. What I could see is that, the 8 years of my career, I could see a lot of differences or a lot of happening in the event. When I started as a lecturer in a college, right, then and today in 2023, when I stand as an academic manager, the face of the education has really changed. The ways, the approaches towards the field of how you approach to the education, or how you teach the students, have changed a lot. And let's get started. So what actually had led to this change in the teaching landscape? That is the first thing we have to look into, or when you are in the field of the education. Like I told you, this is meant for someone who is already there in the field of the education, or you are someone who wish to be a part of the part of the teaching field also. It's equally applicable to one. So what actually have made this landscape changing? Of course, the one is about the technological advancement which we had it. It's like I said that in my introductory part, I said, you just have a look at, the education we had received, or when we were at the school or the college. Let's take it and compare it to the school. When we had at the school level, the level of schooling which we had and the level which the present generation students have, or the children have it, let's take it our children, it's tremendously different. So it's not just the technological advancement, but also the approaches towards how do you do the teaching. That also has changed a lot. That the pedagogical approaches, or now we have the inclusive learning, everything. There's so much thing has changed over there. So traditionally, how we used to have is that, we had a standardized curriculum. It was a teacher-centered instruction, a brick and mortar classroom. That was typically, we simply in words, we can say that we had a board, a whiteboard over there where we used to write over there, right? Now, and we used to carry the books to our school. But if you look now, the children don't really even carry that book. That is a teacher-centered instruction approach to, the learner-friendly learning. It has even evolved up to that. So these are the changing landscape. That is from, like I said, that, from a teacher-centered or teacher-oriented approach to a learner-friendly or, learner-based approach. It has changed it. And also, yes, with traditional classroom modes, that is another changing landscape that actually had it. That is, we used to have a traditional class. When we think about education, what comes into our mind was a classroom, right? Where we used to sit, we had a teacher who was teaching you. And, it is a physical place actually. But when you think about an education, whether you are thinking about a schooling, or, you're thinking about a college, or you're thinking about, any kind of learning, this is now the idea of classroom itself had changed now. It has now been changed into the virtual environment, or, you actually no longer require a class for the purpose of having an education. So what actually had led to this changing face of this, or changing landscape to this education? The first, of course, the technological landscape. Now, when I said that, traditionally, when you think about a classroom, we were referring to, a classroom with a board. But now, if you even think about a classroom which is having a physical existence, then you could see some kind of technology which is being used over there. That is a projector being used. Children are shown with the videos, like, or the stories, or something which is relating to their, if you just take into a small classroom where the children are taught the ABCDs, right? So they are being taught in such a way that they are shown up, like A for apple. We studied in this way, that A for apple, it was like an oral. We literally by hearted that, or that's the way we studied it. But now, or maybe the teacher used to come with an apple and, they show, okay, this is A for apple, or some other thing. But now, with the help of the technology, they are being shown, like, they're projected with, okay, an image of an apple, or image of an ant, that A for apple, A for ant, or B for ball, B for bat, that. So that image is what now being, it is being imparted into the mind of the children. So the technology itself is one of the biggest factor which has led to this changing landscape. So when you are an educator, or when you are in the field of education, of course, you cannot say that, you just, I'm okay, I don't use any technologies, or I cannot use it. No, you have to actually, even if you are having a physical classroom also, still, at least you should be having a minimum technical and ICT knowledge, to be in it. So technology, of course, plays a very important role. Second is, of course, the globalization. The best example is what you see right now, because we are in different continents, different countries, but still we communicate to each other. You listen to me, I'm speaking to you, right? This is all part of the globalization. That is, now the world economy is opened in front of the others, that, anyone can have a transaction. Like we say that the world have become one single village. No, that's a present a scenario, actually. So, of course, the globalization. And the next is about the digital transformation. The digital transformation which had happened, that is, like I said, that now there is no single schools around the world now which actually doesn't use the technology. Even if you take anything, at least, they have a minimum computer lab, or, in the schools also, the records are maintained on digital form. Now, we no longer have these paper form, or or if you want to get enrolled into any colleges, you can find an online application. All these are part of the digital transformation which we have it. Then another is the student-centered approach. Like I have said before, we used to have a teacher-centered approach, wherein which the teacher used to come, they used to open a book, they used to say something, whether you understood or not, that's a secondary thing. So it was more or less like a teacher-centered approach. But now this has been changed into a student-centered approach. A student-centered approach means here, the learner or the student is given a prime importance. Okay, if the learner doesn't understand the way in which you are saying it, then you have to devise into something which, your student or the learner understand it. An example is inclusive learning. Before, we never used to have an inclusive learning in our, that is, if you are a very specially abled person, still you have every right to be a part of the class, a normal class. See, that's an inclusive learning. So when you have someone like that in your class, or you're teaching someone like that, then of course, something which, which is understandable to that person, or which is acceptable to that person, also need to be. And of course, we know, say, each children are special, each children are different, or each individual are different. You are different, I'm different. Our learning is different, our perception is different. So what is acceptable to all of us? So it's not that one person doesn't understand, we leave that person. No. We go behind the one who didn't. No, there's a Bible quote which says that, Jesus went behind, one single goat a sheep, precisely the sheep who was lost, leaving all the 99 behind. That's almost something which we have in the present education. That is, if the one person doesn't understand it, of course, we cannot eliminate that one person also needs to be included. And the next is, it's a lifelong learning process. That's the one thing. That is, before you enter into a teaching profession, your teaching or your learning almost entered over there, or more or less maybe you just keep updated with it. But no, now it is a lifelong learning process. That is what, see, on the one side, the teaching landscape is completely changing, whether it's a technological or whatever it is. So on the other side, you itself have to be really equipped yourself. Then only you can stand in this teaching field or in this sector. So if you're an outdated person, or you're not willing to make a change in it, or you're not willing to learn, of course, then there is someone else to replace your place who is fully equipped with this. Then changing learner expectation. That's another thing. Like I said, now, this is a student-centered approach. So when I choose, now, before it was the, teacher and the student, that ratio, in that cycle it used to go. But now it is a learner that chooses the teacher or chooses a particular institution. So when a learner chooses a particular institution, or willing to be studied under that teacher, of course, we have an expectation, right? Okay, this is my expectation from that. So of course, if the teacher is expected to meet that, expectation, the changing expectation of it, because let's say, for example, where we need to use some kind of technology. And if the teacher says that, no, I don't want to use any technology or anything like that, then the expectation of the learner is not being met. I'll just give you a very simple example. I'm using a PowerPoint over here. So how would I use a PowerPoint over here? Because when I use a PowerPoint, for you, it is easy to understand or comprehend what I'm saying. Right? So your intention of joining this webinar is what? That you should able to reap some benefit out of it. Right? So when I just simply say that, or come and say, just looking at your face, or and just keep on saying something, that doesn't give that 100% yield which is expected. Although how much ever convincing power or convincing skill I do have got it, but still that doesn't give that expected yield over there. So here, your expectation is what I should understand from it. For that, I'm using the help of a technology. If I'm very adamant that I don't want to use it, I'm just going and saying, what comes into my mind, then there I'm failing as a teacher. So the changing expectation. Then the most important factor that has changed the teaching landscape is the COVID-19 situation. So we know how we had gone through the COVID-19 situation. Now, if you consider the world today, we have got pre-era and the post, the pre-COVID and post-COVID. We divided the whole era into this much. So the COVID-19 was something which is actually brought revolution into, so much of areas. And the possibility of an online learning was actually unlocked from this COVID-19. Before then, we never expected that, we can have a class with that effectiveness of through an online platform as that of a normal classroom. Right? We could use the ICT technologies, or we could use the help of all other, kind of technological help. We can take it and we can have the classroom be in the same way as of a normal physical classroom. See, though the COVID is over and we are back to our normal life, but still we take the good lessons which we have learned from the COVID-19. That is how effectively we can have an online learning, or online learning can, cross all the borders of the teaching, and it can give you the same fruit as that of a normal education. Even the universities, right, they do open up for the for an online learning. That is, by sitting at home, you can have a master's degree done without, from any part of the world, you can have it. See, all these were the outcomes of the COVID-19 situations. So these were the factors that has led to the changing landscape. So when I say about the changing landscape, we have traditionally shifted entirely from the traditional platform where we had a normal classroom teacher-centered approach to something, a virtual classroom, to a learner-centered approach. Now I'm going to take you to the importance of the professional. Now, on the other side, you have having a very fast evolving landscape. So what if you don't actually have a profession like the topic suggests? That is empowerment of the educators. If you're not empowered to meet the changing requirements which is there on the other side, what is going to happen? Of course, you will go out of the complete scenario itself. That's the one thing. Second thing is that, how do you keep updated in your professional growth? Where are the areas which you need to be updated with? Of course, that is with the modern teaching methodologies and best practices. Like we said, that a person who is using a Zoom for the purpose of teaching, then we are getting updated to the modern technology, use of a Microsoft whiteboard to teach. That is again a modern methodology which we are using. Now, a computer laptop can even act as same like a normal whiteboard, which like a teacher writes on the board. The same way it can happen, right? We have the technologies. So adopting to the teaching methodologies, the best practices, that is one thing which is associated with your professional growth. That is, you need to be updated with it. And the second one is adapting to the needs of the students. That is the next thing. That is just being, having a best technology or adopting the best practice. No, you have to make sure that you are actually targeting the right audience with this. That is, you're using a very high complex technologies to teach a small, a KG1 student or, a kindergartner, a toddler. See, that's not the right, your right audience. So always you have to ensure that you have to understand the needs of your students and incorporate your teaching methodologies and best practices to deliver this high quality education. Then, teaching is a very fast growing field. If I say that, many of you would think, oh, really, is it? This is a few statistical data which has been published by the UNESCO. So they say that by 2030, the sub-Saharan African regions, they are to recruit, this data was published in 2022, they are in requirement of 15 million teachers. So what they say over there is that they are actually having, the African sub-Saharan region is actually really running short of the qualified teachers. This is what the statistical data they have said. And also based on what they have said is that in 2000, the average 85% of the primary teacher required the qualifications. That was the requirement. That means only remaining 16% was having a qualification. But now, it was in 2019, only 65% of it. But still, that is, you are having an opportunity on the other side. That is, there's a requirement of a qualified teacher. But like I said, that empowerment or, the updation is not actually really happening over there. This is what the statistical data published by the UNESCO says. And also, they just do say one more thing about the teaching requirement as well. That is, in the secondary education, around 30% of the teachers are just female only. But when you compare to the student ratio of the girls being enrolled into the program, this is not, an ideal number, which means this door is really opening to the female candidates mostly, that is the teaching, because when you think about the teaching, what comes into your mind is a female face, right? So they say that yes, there are more opportunities for you as the teacher when you are, into this. But still, if you ask, why this profession is not being really find it very attractive, because there are quite many reasons to that. Maybe one is the remuneration, of course. So they are not really highly paid remuneration. That is one thing. But if you look into the empowered, the qualification you have to it, see, we cannot expect to have, a very highly paid job when you don't really have a required qualification. So it's very important. If you take not only teaching, if you take into any field, what you have to look is that your qualification must always be your qualification must be always, very up to date. That is what is being required at least, you need to have the minimum basic qualification, which is required so that, you are one of the most sorted person in the teaching field. So it's very important that, like I said, that you really need to keep yourself updated. Lifelong learning is the only tagline for when you are in the teaching profession. That is, keep updated with what is happening at your surrounding is very important. So basically, when we talk about the qualifications, of course, bit of my research, which I have found out is that you are required to have a formal a degree or a diploma, whatever, as what you require to be a teacher, or you need to have a PGCI, that is a postgraduate certificate, that is usually called when you go for a very higher level teaching field. But at least you need to have a formal qualification in the teaching. So you might be someone, maybe you had a postgraduate and you you want to come into the teaching profession. You might be a subject expert, but still, what really matters over here is that you really need to have a teaching qualification which will help you to create a solid base in the teaching field. That is the first thing. So which teaching field you are going to, each of the teaching field you choose to, whether you try to teach or you're interested in teaching at the primary level or into the secondary level, or you want to go into the higher level, each of these levels, the qualifications do different. And of course, when you think about taking a qualification, because you need to have a look into your country-wise, the qualification requirements, because each country, the qualification requirements would be different. So some countries, it is bachelor in education, and some, just a diploma in the teaching would be fine, or a postgraduate certificate, that varies. So of course, you need to really have a look into your country's requirement into the teaching field. And next, I would really like to take you into a qualification, which is called the Level 5 Diploma in Teaching and Learning. Okay. So this qualification, this is, or what this qualification mainly aims us. Okay, this qualification is delivered by an awarding body, which is called the OTHM, which is a UK-based awarding body. Okay, OTHM. And this awarding body is approved and approved by UFGEL, which is Office of Qualifications and Examination Regulation. And this is because if this is an UFGEL approved, this certificate do have a worldwide acceptance as well. So this diploma program, that is the Level 5, what actually aims, or what is the what is the purpose of this qualification, or what it enables the learner, is that the first is the roles and responsibility as a teacher, because their curriculum do have, the curriculum do have, they have the units which clearly establishes the roles and responsibility of a teacher. And the second one is about the appropriate teaching and the learning approaches, which has been used in the learning. Then how to plan, deliver a teaching session, because see, teaching is never an easy job. That's something which I can say out of my experience, because, if you really want to be a teacher who want to excel in that field, it's very important that, you understand, you should understand that your learners have really understood what you are teaching. So that is the toughest part in the teaching profession. That is, suppose in a class there are 30 students, it is quite difficult to cater the needs of all the 30 students. That is why, the people who are really passionate in teaching, for them, that is absolutely really, a wonderful field. Because if you love to teach, then, or you'd like to communicate, of course, the teaching is the best field you can choose. Because I am someone who has actually joined to the teaching profession because I love to teach. That's one of the reasons why I've joined. And yes, so what I was talking is, coming to the point is that, just by going into the class and saying something that is not actually what the teaching is, you really need to have a planning, right? What am I going to teach in today's class? How effectively I can communicate my things? Okay, these are my learners. In my class, like I have this different sets of students. How effectively I can communicate this to my, to my learners. See, this, for that, you really need to have a clear planning. So this, again, of course, you can get it through a formal class, how effectively you can monitor, or how effectively you can impart the training to your students. So that is again being helped to this to deliver, plan, and evaluate the teaching session. And yes, And to understand the use of assessment methods and recording. That's another aim from this qualification. As a teacher, like how to do this assessment effectively. You can do the assessment, how to keep the record of your assessment, all these things. Like I said, that this is not a very simple that is a simple profession. That is the main reason, the authorities do say that you need to really have a formal education to this, because you're going to a group of people where they consider you as a very valued one. Okay, this is my teacher, because when we think about our teachers, we have, okay, she was my teacher, she's my teacher, or he's my teacher, right? So how effectively you reach to these students? Of course, you need to be formally trained in these purpose. Of course, this qualification helps you for that purpose. And yes, actually, this qualification is appropriate for whom? So, or if you're planning to enter as a teacher or a tutor or a trainer or a lecturer or an instructor, any of these you are going to be, then this qualification is best suited for you. And with this way you can teach in a further education colleges or a community learning center, or where they're providing a work-based training where you need to have a formal education. For example, you are a trainer and you really need to have a qualification which is for the education in training, and of course this is available. This is good. And in short, if you are someone who is teaching into a community of 14 years and above, then this qualification is really apt for you. And what is the equivalency of this qualification? So this is level 5. And of course, this is a UK qualification. And when this is the level 5 qualification, this is having an equivalency of a 2-year diploma, or this is equivalent to a second year of a 3-year graduation. That is, if you completed a graduation, level 5 qualification, then you are holding a qualification which is equivalent to the level, equivalent to the 2-year of a 3-year degree program. And what is the progression with this? So since you're already holding a qualification which is equivalent to 2 years of graduation, then you can progress into the final year. That is, if you are you want to do like a graduation or a bachelor's in teaching qualification, then through this program you can enter into the final year. That is, by just doing the 1 year with the university, you can get your bachelor's done. So this is the equivalency and the progression with this program. So like I said, that it's very important to be very updated while you are in the teaching profession, and also it's very important that you really need to have a formal qualification while being in the teaching profession. So now the floor is open for you to ask your queries. Since my presentation, we can ask your doubts if you have any. And I could see quite a lot of questions regarding the recording of this. Yes, this recording, this is a recorded session, and you can get this recording. There is a Google form being posted here. You can please fill in the Google form so that we can send the recordings to you, or if you're interested in knowing the course also, yes, you can fill the Google form. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel, go ahead with the question.
I think mine is not like a question. Thanks so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
I think it actually means a lot. It's a life learning process, and that need to be keenly. For me, I think there's another component that we could have added to this presentation, because I have something that I wrote key intakes. We are now shifting from the traditional means of education and integrating the modern educational or activities into our curriculum. So I think one key place we need to look at is the issue of the curriculum first, because the curriculum is the guide. Because with all the curriculum, we not know which topic need to be taught at what time, and which ICT resources also need to be used to actually complement the effort of the teacher in the classroom while teaching that academic topic. That is one thing. 2, there should also be a ICT infrastructure in place, because according to UNESCO Vision 2030 that talk about digitalizing our education system. If you are talking about digitalization of our education system, meaning that we should have all of those infrastructure put in place, students also should have their role, and also we need to think of teacher professional development, because even though you are talking about the issue of COVID-19 trickle, COVID-19 actually did well, even though we have negative impact, but it did well in order that to make people to know that indeed the vision 2030 achievement goal number 4 that talk about sustainable education. And under sustainable education, we have something that talk about educational digitalization. So if COVID couldn't have come, many institutions, many African countries and other countries around the world, they were never going to actually reinforce the issue of digitalizing our education system. That is one good aspect of COVID, because they say that for every bad thing, at least there come a good aspect. For me, even though we lost a lot of people, but I think the aspect of like modernizing our education system was one good impact of the COVID. And another thing we talk about, something we talk about is you talk about the issue of inclusive. Inclusive education is very important, but now in the process of digitalization, what we need to firstly look at is the redesigning of our classroom. In our world, we have traditional a curriculum, and we have traditional oriented teachers we were trained, also meaning that we also have traditional classroom that were organized. But now for the modern development, now if you look at the redesigning of classroom, it's something that is very unique, because it enables students to sit in that form wherein you find out that many of the students are actually like sitting together and they are collaborating well with if you look at the table setting of the classroom, it's quite different from what we have within our traditional system. I think that is one thing that we also need to add also. And then there's something in education we call pluralism. Pluralism has to do with the issue of taking people from diverse backgrounds, like someone that had disability, language, religion, and other things, and then grouping them into one category and then being in a classroom, wherein you find out that for an instructor to actually control that identical class, he has to have technical expertise or technical knowledge to doing those things. So otherwise, I think we have more to say. And I want to just say thank you. My colleagues are there. Maybe they may have something to say. Thank you so much. And then probably maybe other information that I have, I can be able to email them to you for maybe like your input and consideration. Thanks so much for the presentation. I really admire. I think we are actually like going the real route, because if we are not told what you have said, people will not definitely know how education should be run in this century. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. It was really, a good thing to add your insight as well. And yes, it's open. Floor is open for others also. Yes, please. Yes, Ms. Evelyn, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Edubex Education. I've really gained a lot. It is very, very impressive, and it is very knowledgeable. I've listened through, and it is good. I've seen there's a lot to learn. So I don't know how the program is going to be, how you have drawn the program to be, and days, what times will it be suitable for everyone else. I've seen we've gone international. People are from all over the world, which is very interesting. And then I've seen it's like, is it primary, secondary, educational? Is it also inclusive of early childhood education?
Okay, so Ms. Evelyn, you were talking about the level 5 program, right? Is it inclusive or not? That's what the question is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is actually in the level 5 program. It's exclusively for anyone who wish to teach the students of 14 years and above. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, even you can use it for the primary because, this is a higher level qualification up to the, the college level, further education level, senior secondary. This could be, this qualification could be used. And yes, it is of inclusive learning.
All right. What about the children who are in primary and early childhood like we have in Kenya?
Yes, we can use even that for there also. If it's permitted in your country to use this qualification, then yes, because like I said, this is a higher level. Of course, it could be used for the lower level as well. So if it's permissible, then yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what I said always, teaching qualification is dependent on the country in which you are in, because each country do have the different the regulations regarding the teaching field, because it's a very sensitive area, because the teacher is always treated as a role model, of course. So, so the choosing them is really very something which has to be done very carefully. Thank you, Evelyn. And he has one more hand raised, but now I don't see that. Yes, Mr. George, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm calling from Ghana. I want to find out, what about those who also have, private universities or teacher training schools, let's say in Ghana or other places, if they also want to train their teachers to have this qualification, what's the way forward? Because international qualification, something very, strongly in Ghana as we are. So when you get some good news and you think it's better as a university or as a private university also, you want to bring some programs on board that you attract people to come in. So I want to find out about, is there any arrangement? Because OTM, I think we have one university in the country who is doing that. Then for some of us, we also come on board currently. If you want to, upgrade to that level and add up to programs, I want to see if there's any partnership or collaboration there, or anything that Edubex is working on for some of us, if we want that kind of, partnership or program.
Sure. Yes, we do have the partnership for that. Could you please leave your contact number to me so that, our partnership can contact you for the same? Can you please put your contact number so I can reach you over there? On the chat, you can put it to me. Personally, you can put to me. And one more thing is I want to say about the OTM qualification is this has been approved in Ghana, Botswana, and Zimbabwe as well, because our learners have got the equivalency for this program. So this is approved one for your tertiary education. Mr. George, I have put my contact number to you on the chat. Okay, so you can reach me on that number. So we can discuss further to that. Yeah.
So what about Liberia? Do you have any extension in Liberia, or have you settled in Liberia?
Sorry, do we have?
Have you settled such a program in Liberia, West Africa?
Yes, we do have. We have in fact our own staff even working in Nigeria.
No, not Nigeria, Liberia. Liberia.
Liberia. Okay, fine. Liberia. Yes. No, we do have. So far, I don't think we have started our operations in the Liberia. And but yes, we do have our operations in Nigeria, and with our local our staff we have got in Nigeria. We have in Botswana, we have in Ghana, we have in Zambia, we have in Zimbabwe, then we have in Malawi, we have in Uganda. All these countries we are in. Liberia, we have not stepped our feet yet, but in these countries soon, hopefully we will.
So maybe I can be the ambassador for Liberia.
Sure. Sure. Maybe you can be with us. I hope you were contacted. Your mail was being forwarded today from our administration that you have put your contact number. And yes. Yes, Mrs. Zano, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, please. I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, please. South Africa. I wanted to know if you also have any branch in South Africa. My name, I'm from Ghana and currently I'm living in South Africa here. I'd like to know if you plan of coming to South Africa also. Thank you.
Sir, I didn't get your question fully. Do we have any? I didn't get the. I missed it. Skipped your question.
Yeah, do you have Edubex in South Africa, Johannesburg?
Yes, we do have. We do have the learners.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Please, I've shared my contact, George Wilson.
Sorry? Yes, Mr. George, I got your number from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Miss Regina, our advisor, we do have an right now we don't have an operations from straight away operations in the Ghana, means straight away local office, we don't have it, but we have the learners from Ghana. That's what I said. The learners have got the approval for the qualification. That was for our level 7 qualification, which the learner have received it. But I will take your number and I will get in touch with you. Okay, I'll pass the number to our advisor, and they will be in touch with you to discuss more. Yes, Mr. Aubert, go ahead with the question.
Yes, I wanted to find out. I don't know if I missed it, or if I'm taking you behind, but I wanted to find out how you determine the 100 hours of assessment and the, I think, 120 hours of learning. How you determine that? Do you record, or how do you do it?
Okay, so you're one of our learner, I guess, since you asked that 100-hour question. So the level 5 qualification, it's a combination of both the teaching as well as the practical session as well as the theory which you would be learning, because it's a teaching qualification. It's important that you need to have the practical session being done. So the 100 hours, how it works is that you need to have an internship with any of the schools. Okay, so we will issue a letter for you so that you can submit to the schools, and that 100 hours you can bring a letter stating that you have completed the 100 hours of training with the school, because that is not just one topic, it is a part of your assessment. So your tutor would be giving you the required assessment. So observation would be conducted, and based on which you would be assessed. Hope I'm clear.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Precious Lipa. I'm from Botswana.
Hi, Precious.
My first time to join, I joined late because I was traveling. So actually, I don't know what is happening, but it's my first time to join. I just had interest in this, so maybe I'll learn as the lesson goes on.
Sure, no problem. So since you have missed the first part, you can fill in the form there so that we can send you the details of this the initial part, and you can get back to us.
Where is the form? There's a link with the form.
Yes, there is a link. You can find in the chat. There is a link.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Evelyn, go ahead.
Do we have one in Kenya?
The one in Kenya, like you said, that we don't have the physical office there, but yes, we do have the learners from the Kenya who have completed as well as who are studying as well.
All right.
Hi. Please go ahead. Please go ahead with the questions if you have any. So those who have joined late, or if you wish to have the recordings or know about the course as well, there is a Google form which I am putting it once again down here, so that you can fill in, and so that we can be in touch with you. And you can see the Google form, you can see over there. Okay. So is there any further questions with regard to the teaching, or anything with regard to my presentation? You can ask me. So if not, then thank you so much. And once again, I really...
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. Yeah, so you want to go ahead with the question? Okay, so once again, thank you so much for being into this webinar and taking time from your busy schedule, and have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for the seminar, and we are grateful.
Thank you. We appreciate.